Hello viewers, I'm Ronn Grant coming to you live and direct from Tortola in the Virgin Islands. You're watching 284 Media, Journey to Elections 2023. This is our Just for the Record series where you get an opportunity to meet the candidates firsthand. Today I'm joined by Dr. Karl Dawson, the 1st District candidate on the Virgin Islands Party ticket. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break. Stay tuned for more Just for the Record right after this.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull.
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean.
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne.
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine.
You did a pretty hard workout today, so perhaps...
And as you can see, it's actually
you're feeling it.
Alonzo Boynes.
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows.
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute beginner.
You are an absolute beginner.
And Seth Graham.
It bites.
It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
Welcome back everyone, and thank you so much for sticking with us. As promised, I am joined by Dr. Karl Dawson, the 1st District candidate on the Virgin Islands Party ticket. You're watching Just for the Record. Dr. Dawson, welcome to our platform and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Ron. Happy to be here.
The pleasure is all mine. Now, we are journeying to elections 2023. You have once again put your hat in the ring for the opportunity to serve the people. Now, the last time we met you as residents would have been in 2015, where you ran again in the Virgin Islands Party as an at-large candidate. What have you been up to since the last 2015 elections that you contested?
So after the 2015 elections, based on the policy at the college, I was still able to return to the college, and I served there another year into 2016, bringing to the end of a 24-year tenure at the institution, and really was a lot of memorable things in terms of the things we were able to do and achieve during those times, program development, working with students even as they won international awards and the like, and particularly the long journey that led to our accreditation in 2015 by Middle States Accreditation Commission. And it was a pleasure to lead that team at that time. But after I left the college, then I went to work at Anguilla Community College. During the time I was at the college, I was president of the Association of Caribbean Tertiary Institutions. And one of my things that I pushed there was that I thought that the education space in the Caribbean was one space. That is to say, we would like to see persons gaining experience from one jurisdiction to the next. So I took the opportunity, the very thing that I had been preaching, and went to work in Anguilla, spent 3 years there. We were able to move ahead certain things. We were able to almost complete the college's very first building, introduce new programs. And then at the end of my term in 2020, for personal reasons, I decided to return here to the British Virgin Islands because my family had not moved with me. Understood. So we decided that we should come back to the BVI. So since then, when I came back, I've done some consultancy with the Ministry of Education, helping them, for instance, move forward with the Teacher Education Institute at the college, a lot of planning with respect to the agricultural statutory body that's being proposed, as well as some professional development for faculty, so for teachers in the education and leaders in the educational system. So it's been a useful time since I've come back, and most recently I've been more in the private sector doing consultancy with OneMart, with PUSSers in particular, because my first degree is in hotel restaurant management. So in a sense, I've come full circle, come back home.
I'm happy that you mentioned your first degree. What are some of your qualifications, Dr. Dawson?
So my first degree is bachelor's degree in hotel and restaurant management from the University of the West Indies. Then I pursued a master's in education with Wright State University, and finally a doctoral degree from University of Florida in higher education administration.
Understood. Now, there has been a lot that has transpired within the territory, not only since you moved back home, you said in 2020, correct?
Yes.
In regards to the COI, a number of very pivotal moments. What are you most concerned about at this very moment? And that would have led to you wanting to represent the people?
My main concern is very broad, Ron. That when we look at the things that came out of the COI, at the base of it, my greatest concern is that we as a people, have little confidence in government. Based on some of the things that were revealed, and I'm not simply speaking of, certainly it would have involved decisions by political leaders, but it also involved how government itself functions. The relationship with the governor, for instance, the relationship even with the UK. So I was concerned that we as a people have little confidence in broad government, all the aspects of government. And the way that I feel that will be turned around, some of the things that are coming out of the COI, some of the reforms that are there, I hope that they will eventually lead to greater confidence in government, to know that as an individual, that I can access the services that I need, that I will be treated fairly, that I have as much of an opportunity as my neighbor who has that same opportunity, and that there are constraints or restraints even, boundaries in which political leaders, government officers should operate to ensure that everyone can be satisfied that their government is working for them.
Understood. Now, speaking on the COI, do you view the findings as a fair representation of what has transpired within the Virgin Islands over the last decade or so?
I would say generally, yes. There are certain things that I have concerns about. There are certain things I think that there's some cultural nuances that the persons who came in simply didn't understand. When we have grown up in a small place with relationships and relations so intertwined, that is something that's very hard for them to conceive of in a country of 65 million where those persons came from. So I think that some of the findings needed to be taken, in my view, with a little bit of a grain of salt and recognizing that there's some cultural nuances that they didn't quite get. But generally, Ron, I see the findings of the COI as helping us to get where we want to go. That is the reforms that we would need in the system to bring about, again, as I said before, that confidence in government and government systems that I believe that a growing nation and a country that's on the way to further self-autonomy and eventually, in my view, to independence, that's needed. At the end of the day, when you have an independent country, people must be confident in the government, confident in the way that it operates, confident in the system, confident in the courts. So I believe that the COI and its findings and its recommendations, and I applaud the government, unity government at the time, and I believe whatever government goes in now, for embracing those reforms. Now, what I would say, Ron, is that in terms of reforms or laws or policies, the first thing happens is that they're passed, they're written, they're signed off on. And then I believe there's a need then to change the culture to match the laws, to change the culture to match the policies, because people would have been doing things differently before. We have made a bold step. Policies and laws guide us, but in a sense, they're also aspirational. They're saying what we want to be, who we want to be, how we want to operate. So it's a matter now of having a leadership team that comes into play. The laws, the policies are there, some still to be developed, but those that are there, how do we embrace them and make them a part of our culture? Even with respect to the media, there were laws passed by the last government with respect to integrity in public life, with respect to openness for certain types of information. They are there. And now we say, well, how do we build a culture? How do we make sure that people accept it? How do we make sure that the government officers relevant also accept it so that the full effect of those laws and policies that we intend can take place?
Understood. I want to take a look specifically at the first district for which you are seeking to represent. What are some of your major concerns as it pertains to the first district?
The primary thing that I emphasize, and I pause there, Ron, because as I was going to mention the economy, and that is one of the things that I feel that's more in our hands to try to impact. But I pause because there is a serious health challenge in the district with respect to the incinerator. Incinerator is located in the 3rd district, but with our trade winds, much of what takes place there, that outflow as far as the smoke and so on is concerned, comes over into the forestry district and sometimes blankets, sometimes the entire district. It's certainly something that is of national urgency. There are some short-term measures taking place now with respect to repairs to the incinerator. But I think given that we've been here before with the incinerator breaking down, I think that there should be other plans that we have in place. Now, the previous Minister of Health, Honorable Carvin Malone, had been looking at various options. Some of it included a greater distribution of that processing activity, which would perhaps lower the impact on any one space. And if working properly, incinerators really should not be emitting the kinds of smoke and so on that we are experiencing now. A lot of what we are experiencing now is based on open burning anyway. So we are hoping that we'll have a system that would have a level of redundancy that does not allow us to come to the space where we are now with the open burning and all the health impacts that attend to that.
Okay. Now, Dr. Dawson, I'm glad you brought up the incinerator. You mentioned also the economy. These are matters that have been essentially plaguing the territory for quite some time, for decades even, perhaps so. What would make you any different when the people ask, well, why should we elect you? What would make you any different from any other representative that was unable to accomplish some of the things that you just mentioned? Stay tuned for more Just for the Record right after this.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I got here. My name is Kamal Haynes. Most of you know me from 284 News, but now you get to see me in a different light on my very own show called Health is Wealth. We have Joel Turnbull,
I don't want you to arch your back when you're pulling down.
Milton McLean,
First of all, right, your footwork.
Stephen Payne,
That was a 9 out of 10. I know you got the service down pat.
Steve Augustine,
You did a pretty hard workout today, so
And
perhaps
as you can see, it's actually
you're
impacting
feeling
me.
it.
Alonzo Boynes,
Taekwondo.
Adam Murrows,
I'll speak as if you're an absolute beginner.
I am an absolute.
You are an absolute beginner.
and Seth Graham.
It bites. It will bite.
Get your water, get your fruits and veggies, and experience a wealth of knowledge about getting healthy.
There goes my new car. Guess I'm back on my bike.
Your bike? CG offers new car replacement. Remember my monster truck days? Well, one night I attempted a 50-foot pogo double backflip. I landed it and went to karaoke. It wasn't until afterward that my car got hit by that fisherman. He gave me some great mahi-mahi though. Anyway, they paid fast and got me in a new car. Now call a cab. I want you to meet my alpaca guy.
New car replacement for the first year of ownership. CG Insurance. Good like that.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. Brought up the incinerator. You mentioned also the economy. These are matters that have been essentially plaguing the territory for quite some time, for decades even, perhaps so. What would make you any different when the people ask, well, why should we elect you? What would make you any different from any other representative that was unable to accomplish some of the things that you just mentioned?
Well, one thing, I'll start with the economy first, that my approach to governance would be one that is really integrated with the community. As far as solutions to the various problems are concerned, constant contact with the community. I think one such example was just 2 weeks ago on Saturday. A major problem in the first district is access to consistent water supply. It's a problem across the territory. But certainly about 2 weeks ago, we had a meeting organized by the at-large representative Neville Smith. It involved what we have done in the Forest District. We have a Forest District Committee, and that's a tremendous vehicle in terms of for any elected official to be able to work with an organized community group to be able to share information as well as to receive feedback. So in that particular meeting, we had the Honorable Smith, we had people from the ministry, we had people from water and sewage, we had people from the water suppliers, ocean conversion there. So we were bringing all the stakeholders together at the table. And it was a session that allowed us to understand what the current situation is, allow us to hear what their plans were, and they allowed them to hear from us what the issues as we saw it. And in just that simple meeting, we realized that there are certain things that are more macro in terms of the entire system. And then we also found out that there were some particular cases that had been ongoing that could probably be solved right away. And as far as the leadership and the representation in the district, I see that as a key means as to how it is that I would practice. That is, bringing people together as much as possible, bringing the various stakeholders together in order to solve the problems. I believe we know we can, when we put our heads together, find the solutions to the issues that confront us. So a number of them are not easy. You know, the water situation, I think, is something that can be handled. The incinerator, I also believe that can be handled because, as I said, we must plan greater redundancy in the system to ensure that we don't get back to this particular space where we are now.
One of the matters that you did not address in your sharing just now, Dr. Dawson, was the trust for elected representatives. Particularly, let's look at the 1st District. The people of the 1st District, in my observance, have essentially gone through a period of grieving. Some might say mourning, but I prefer the word grieving, based on these situations that would have led to them now needing a representative with the former elected official. When we talk about trust and accountability, what separates Dr. Dawson, and how can the people of the 1st District trust you?
I think it would have to be not only with really what I say, but it would be based on the Karl Dawson that a number of them have known through the years. I've been living in the district for 29 years, neighbor and friend to many. A number of them have known me as a national figure. A number of them have known me as a religious leader in our church. And I believe that they have, a number of persons have reached to the point to say, well, if this is what Karl Dawson says, this is what he means, based on the one that I have known and the things I've seen from him in the past. So I think I've tried to live and walk in a way that would inspire that confidence. But I would say it's not just me personally, but the thing for me is to say the approach, as I mentioned before. If it's going to be a very interactive and collaborative approach that allows for accountability, that allows for questions to be asked of the representative on a regular basis, I think that system as a whole will work better for the administration of the district and contribution to the greater issues that the Virgin Islands face.
You speak of systems, and you also speak of essentially teamwork. Why have you once again chosen the Virgin Islands Party to align yourself in this political fashion?
When I ran in 2015, the question before me was, of course, if I do want to run, which party would I run? With which party would I run? And for me, when I look back at the history of the Virgin Islands Party and the things that it seems to me that they were founded on and seem to be running through the vein of the party, that was the party that I felt I should be associated with. I think that's more the grassroots party here in the Virgin Islands, the one that's connected with what we would sometimes call ordinary people. But who's ordinary people? The people that live right around me, my friends, my neighbors. And those are the persons that the Virgin Islands Party through the years have tried to represent. Even as far as economic policies, the Virgin Islands Party has been saying, well, if we're going to develop something, where's the role of the Virgin Islander in this? But not just the few Virgin Islands, where's the broad-based role and broad impact of the Virgin Islander in this development? I also see the party, myself as an educator, and when I see the leader of the party, H.L. Stout, associated with the advancement of comprehensive secondary education, and again, the party as a whole, because, Mr. Stout was a leader for the establishment of the H. Laverty Stout Community College, but other party members, Omar Hodge was a great champion for it. Ralph O'Neill was the first chairman, along with the founding chairman, Mr. Stout. So it's a proud heritage, and I see it continuing now as far as education, and the basic idea that the people have to be at the heart of what we're doing, that the people we must see how people will benefit from it. I believe that, and even the system of transparency within the Virgin Islands Party Congress, those things there made me feel that the Virgin Islands Party is the best option for me to feel comfortable based on my values to work alongside. Are there things to be fixed? Of course. But that's why we have a team. That's why we have people who have bring different aspects and input. And we believe once we work together, it'll be for the betterment of the entire territory.
Thank you. Now let's take a look specifically at education, Dr. Dawson. That is, I would say, based on your qualifications, the meat of a lot of your experience. Are you pleased with the state of education in the territory at this very moment? And that is from beginning all the way up to tertiary education.
In a word, no. I'm not pleased with it. I'm pleased. I sense a direction that's going as I hear the current minister articulate various things. I sense there's a direction that we're moving in the right direction. But to say that where we are right now, I'm pleased, I'm not. Because it's the entire spectrum. We still have not addressed early childhood education. You know, the research tells us what happens when you take care of early childhood education and how it impacts the experience and the ability to learn of that child going through the system. I'm very pleased when I hear the current minister speaking of the emphasis on STEM and STEAM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and so on. And I'm pleased because, again, the research is saying that the younger that persons are introduced to these aspects of the curriculum, understanding things conceptually, being able to learn and build things, put things together, understand how pieces work, that's going to enhance their education as a whole, along with physical education as well. So I believe that the direction that we're going is a song one. Not to say we are where we want to be right now, but I believe we're moving in a correct direction. The technical vocational aspect of our system. And we've tried to address it at the level of the college. We have the technical school in Bargas Bay, but I still think we have some way to go as far as that's concerned. And why it's important? It's important because there's a shift in education, Ron. There was a time when there was this perception of education. You got to get an associate degree and a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and the more of those you get, the better you are. But what people are realizing now is that we're interested in what a person can do. Head is involved, but what you can do at the end of the day is what's important. And so different types of certification now become more important because it may indicate that you have the capacity to be an audio technician or video technician or whatever the case may be. And what it does now, I believe when it opens that up, I'm hoping that it would engage more persons in the educational system, especially your young men. I want to see us, so a student may not have wanted to go to school to do a 3-year program, but maybe they might do a 3-month certification right now, and then a couple months down the road, or even a year down the road, they may do another 3-month certification that helps to continue to build their skill set and their base of knowledge. Why is that important? Because in my view, we have a number of persons who, in my view, I think have sort of dropped out of society. They're either unemployed or employed frequently. And it's a detriment to us because they're precious human resources that if we're going to build this country, we need them to be at their full potential. And they have that potential. I've seen it, the creativity, that innovativeness, the things, but they may not want to be fitted into the box that maybe I was fitted into 30, 40, well, let's not say 40, right? Years ago, right?
Understood.
So they want to do it differently, but we now have to see, well, how do we help them to do it differently, but all pointing in the same direction, is pointing the trajectory of them fulfilling who they can be, and as a result, contributing to building a better British Virgin Islands. I believe that there are better days ahead for education in the BVI. I believe that the vision that's being currently expressed by the current minister is leading us in that direction, and as a part of the Virgin Islands Party team, I'll fully support her. Hope to have further conversations with her as we all use our collective knowledge and experiences to forge the best path forward for the territory.
Now, I have a few questions that I want you to essentially say whether or not you would support these legislations, you have an opportunity, of course, to say yes or no or elaborate if you like. All right? The legalization or decriminalization of marijuana. Stay tuned for more Just for the Record right after this.
There goes my new car. Guess I'm back on my bike.
Your bike? CG offers new car replacement. Remember my monster truck days? Well, one night I attempted a 50-foot pogo double backflip. I landed it and went to karaoke. It wasn't until afterward that my car got hit by that fisherman. He gave me some great mahi-mahi though. Anyway, they paid fast and got me in a new car. Now call a cab. I want you to meet my alpaca guy.
New car replacement for the first year of ownership. CG Insurance. Good like that.
Today, I am doing coral treatments with Beyond the Reef. Today, we are doing shark research. So today, we are doing whale research with Beyond the Reef. And wherever I go, I take CCT with me because my life is unlimited.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us.
I would support the decriminalization of marijuana. Now, I say that cautiously because while I recognize there's a level of choice that individuals have, I do also recognize that there's a level of responsibility. And I think that there has been, in my view, the irresponsible use of marijuana. And as a society, whether it's legal or not legal, people are using it. And the efforts to say simply make it as a crime and punish, I don't know that has produced the solution that we need in the territory. So I think that the approach must be one that involves more education, that more the social development side of it as to finding the solution at the end of the day. Because what I would like to see is for those who choose to use it, the responsible use of it and the use of it that does not result in individuals failing to reach their potential. You know, that's what I would say.
The legalization of parimutuel betting.
Now you put a hat on me as a preacher in the Methodist Church. Based on our principles, it's certainly something that I personally would not support. And this is the question sometimes, Ron. You know, there's your personal choice, the things that you would do, and there are those that would be put out to what would be accepted publicly. I do believe that as a representative, I'm a representative of people, first and foremost in my district, and then beyond that, the territory at large. So I would say that in a number of these instances that we're speaking about, I would seek to represent the views of the people, so that if we go through referenda or whatever and hear what the majority of persons say on these matters, then I think even though I may have a different personal conviction, I think that that's where there are certain matters that are important enough that we would allow the voice of the people speak in order to come with the direction that the country should go.
Okay, the legalization of same-sex marriage.
Another tough one, because again, at my heart and my principle, as a Christian, that is not how I understand, God's intention for us. So again, I would say that while I personally may have a particular view, and I'm willing to fight and defend that view, I would still say again on matters such as this, that because it is of such great import that it would not be sufficient for 13 persons to sit in the House, and what we decide should be the way to go on a matter such as this. I think it has to go to a broader community. Now, I also ponder this a lot because in some instances, the persons who would be affected or who would consider themselves negatively affected are a minority, right? And as a Christian, the early church, they were a minority and they were persecuted. And we also see Christians now who are as minorities in certain countries. So all that we have to take into account when we deal with this matter. But again, as I said, I see it as something that while I may have my personal views and willing to defend them, I think that the responsible thing would be to put such questions to the wider populace.
And last but by no means least, the legalization of abortion.
Similarly, I believe that life is precious, and there are circumstances in which, in order to allow one life, sometimes means causing another life to be lost. So these matters must be thought of deeply. As far as we could, preservation of life is one of the things that we would want to try to ensure as a principle in dealing with these matters. So again, similarly, these are heavy matters that ought not to be decided by 13 persons alone.
Thank you. In the final analysis, Dr. Dawson, on April 24th, the people of the Virgin Islands will go to the polls to elect a government of their choice. Why should the people of the First District elect you?
I'm glad you asked that, because it brings me back to an earlier question, which I did not get to, the question of the economy, for instance, in the First District. When we speak of the economy in the First District, I believe that for the last few years, we have been on a bit of a downward spiral for various reasons. One of the biggest reasons is the absence of the ferry terminal at West End. A project has been started to get that restored, and I see us as pressing that as an urgent matter, because it does not only impact the First District and the persons who live there and earn their living there, but it's a key gateway to the entire territory or tourism product. We try to promote it as of a certain standard, or guests who stay on charter yachts, who stay in villas and hotels, have a certain average spend. And their entry to the territory must match what they will be doing while they're in the territory. So I see that as one of the key economic pieces. The other two pieces I will mention are the branding of the First District. The branding of, for instance, Sopa's Hole, which has some particular experiences, restaurants, particular types of activities, and we would be looking to see how we brand that, because I think the more you capture the image of an experience in the mind of the person coming to visit, I think the more that they would be engaged, the more they would do, which creates more opportunities for persons to expand their businesses or open small businesses, particularly young people. I would like to see doing that. Similarly, over on the north side, from Smuggler's Cove to Apple Bay, there's opportunities for dine-arounds, hikings, culinary classes. For instance, I'm speaking to one of the local chefs. All those activities that results in the visitor saying, boy, it was great to be in this particular locale. And then certainly in Carrot Bay in particular, which is the cultural home of the territory, in my opinion,
I agree.
We are looking at a particular culture day every week where all the businesses along the strip would be open. You can come and get your fruit and vegetables. You can come and get your local cooked goodies and food. Fungi band music would be on display, and various activities to make it a landmark spot to say, well, every Thursday, this is where we're going to be. And it's not new. I'm patterning it, for instance, off of Oistins in Barbados. It's a fishing village, just similarly as we are in Carrot Bay. And they started out with fishing, and then somebody started to fry some fish, and then we started to add. So we have that example ahead of us, behind of us, and so this is one of the things that we are trying to do, because we think it will bring opportunities for business in the district and really present an opportunity for people who live here and visitors to come and really enjoy the BVI. So in essence, Ronn, back to your question, I believe that my approach, that is to say, a collaborative approach with the persons in the district, my experiences that I've had as a leader in government and education, And I believe the fact that people see me as approachable, somebody who they can reach out to and that they can talk to, and my level of understanding of government systems and ability to facilitate conversations, I believe these are reasons which I believe I'd be a good representative for the people of the 1st District. And I'm thankful that I have the opportunity, and thankful for those who encourage me to seek this office and those who have supported me thus far.
I have a few light questions for you.
Okay.
What is your favorite Virgin Islands cuisine?
Wow. Boy, I'll just simply have to say guava berry tat.
Okay.
You know?
All right. Do you have a favorite local beverage?
Mabi.
Okay. All right. Do you have a favorite sister island?
That's a tough one, because I'm proud to say I've vacationed on all the 4 major islands. But as much as I love Just Van Dyke, because when I go over there, I walk around the entire island.
Okay.
And that's always thrilling, just the walk and the views. But Virgin Gorda has been good to me.
Okay.
That's where I started my career in hospitality. I love to go over there every chance I get. My wife is really from Virgin Gorda. Her family is from Virgin Gorda. So I'm going to have to stay on the safe side and say Virgin Gorda. But I love them. I love them all. I love hiking on Guana, on Norman Island. I've been, hiking on all those islands. And really, we live in a wonderful place, Ron.
I do agree.
We live in a wonderful place physically, and we have wonderful people. But I believe that our government can facilitate how we live as people. Because right now, how we live as people leaves something to be desired. But I believe that leadership matters. I believe that if you have leaders who understand history and culture, who also understand that there have been people who have come and helped to build this country and now are a part of us, I believe if we have leaders who can see that vision of an inclusive Virgin Islanders built on the history and culture of the Virgin Islands, but including all those who have come and embraced us, I believe we can be, I have to say, a great country that not only for us, but for any who would wish to come and visit.
Dr. Dawson, on that note, I want to thank you so much for this conversation, and of course, thank you for exercising your democratic right in seeking higher office.
Thank you, Ron.
You're most welcome. Viewers, that is all the time we have. You've been watching Just for the Record. Featured today is Dr. Karl Dawson, the 1st District candidate for the Virgin Islands Party. I'm Ronn Grant. Have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye-bye.